and Shota. Thanks, you guys, for joining.
Thanks so much for having us. And sorry for turning up late to VanLife internet problems.
No problem. That is part of the conversation about how difficult is it, because both of you guys work online. So of course you need Wi-Fi, you need electricity. These are things that you had to kind of work into your van life situation, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we have a whole solar setup on the roof and batteries for electricity. So yeah, we have everything we need to work online, which is good. But yeah, that's obviously awesome. Internet problems happen at the worst times. So
I want to talk in more detail about that, because of course my talk show is focused on sustainability, and I think in so many ways, what you guys are doing, living out of a van, you're using a lot less energy. You're actually living more sustainably, even though you're driving around. So there's a lot of great issues to talk about in connection to sustainability. Also, you guys are visiting a lot of rural areas, spending time with local people, spending money in local areas. So that's also very important for sustainable tourism. So I'm so excited to talk to you guys.
Thank you so much.
So tell us a little bit how this adventure started. Like, how did you guys decide, let's renovate a van and travel around Japan? Shota, you started your travel journey when you were 19, leaving Japan. Is that right?
Yeah, like actually I started when I was 19, and then that time I hated Japan. So I went to overseas to travel around maybe 10 years and stuff like this. But after 10 years, I realized I don't know anything about my country. So, right, like why not discover my country? And then I saw a lot of people doing the van life all around the world, and then one of my dream I really wanted to do, and then all right, why not we do Japan? So we started,
Yeah, that's awesome. And where did you guys meet? Because it seems like maybe you guys met in England or the UK, because Shota, you were traveling around the UK before you guys came back to Japan, right?
Yes, we actually met in 2016 in the Philippines in a backpackers hostel. We were both traveling solo, backpacking the Philippines, and we met in a hostel. Yeah, and then you came to the UK after you met me. Yeah.
That's awesome. So how did this idea to not only travel around Japan for a year, but to travel around in a van, like where did that come from? Were you already fans of people doing van life around the world? Recently in America, there's been a big movie about van life, right? And so a lot of people are talking about it. I just saw it, and it makes it look like, of course, you can save money, and a lot of people have to do it for necessity. Was it kind of an idea about saving money or being more frugal as you travel? Is that where it came from?
So both really. I came to Japan last year in January, and we decided at that time, so this was all before the pandemic, and we decided, and we've been thinking about it for a while, to do van life. But we considered, renting an apartment in a city in Japan and what the living costs might be. And since we both worked online anyway, we didn't need to live in a city or in one specific place. So we kind of weighed up the cost of both options, and we realized actually if we live in a van, we can also travel Japan at the same time, which is something we both wanted to do, and also spend the same amount of money. So we just sort of went for that option, and here we are today. So
thanks for joining, Molly and Fides. Fides is asking what the name of the movie. I believe it was Nomadland. Was it? Yeah, it's a big. It won the best movie of the year, I believe, in America.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of depressing because it's like she's retired and she realizes that to be independent and to live on a very low income, that she has to kind of move around job to job. She's working at Amazon, she's working in farms, and she's living out of her van. One of the hardest things that I saw in that film is, of course, having to use the toilet inside the van. Now, you guys have decided not to have the toilet inside the van, and to always park next to a toilet. Has that been possible while you're traveling around Japan?
Yeah, I mean, Japan is the best place in terms of if you need the toilet. There's toilets everywhere. There's convenience stores, there's roadside stations, there's toilets randomly at the side of the road. So there's really no need to have a toilet in your van in Japan. In other countries, I know it's different. We've done van life in the UK and in Ireland previously, and it's not always the case that you can find a toilet. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the renovations, because you guys are very handy and you did so much of the remodel on your own. And probably since you renovated the van, you've learned a lot of things along the way. So can you walk us through like some of the renovations? It seems like you were rushing too, because you wanted to start in good weather before it got hot, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, all the DIY kind of it was, you're doing.
Yeah.
He's the handy one. I'm not going to take credit for the DIY. But yeah, do you want to talk about the DIY?
So I have no experience actually, but I just saw some people doing on YouTube, and then kind of like a copy, and then kind of like I make my own original idea also, and then kind of mix together.
Yeah, it looks like you guys were doing a lot of research. You also had a lot of friends helping. So like in the picture here, Shota's mom was making the curtains for you. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she helped us so much with all the sewing, and she made all the cushion covers and the things. And your friend's an electrician, so he helped us install like a electricity socket in the back of the van too. And yeah, people were so kind to help us out, and we just kind of worked, made our way through like all the different steps that we needed to do, and researched online how to do it. And there's so much information on YouTube these days, so if you want to learn how to insulate a van or how to make a cushion cover, you can just type that into YouTube and learn how to do it from a basic YouTube video, which is so good, the knowledge available these days online.
That's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about the costs? Like how much did you, because you got the van off of Yahoo Auction. So I've heard from so many people remodeling houses that actually Yahoo Auction is a great place to get big appliances or big countertops. But you actually found a van. Did you get a good price?
Yeah, so I think we paid in the end $3,000. So
but including tax.
Yeah, so it was like $3,500 and that was including like the roadworthy test, the tax, all the. It was ready to go pretty much when we got it, and then we spent about the same doing the renovation. So in total, it came to around $7,000 to do the whole thing. And yeah, we were pretty happy with that price. We didn't have a huge budget, to be honest, and the van we bought was quite old. It's from 2006, so yeah, it's not the newest van, but it's been fine. We haven't had that many problems with it, and we've been quite lucky with the engine. So.
And then thanks for joining, Brett from the Hops team. And Paul says, looks awesome. So jealous. Maybe time to get my driver's license. And that's something that Ruth, actually, you started driving in Japan for the first time on this trip. Is that right?
Yeah, I'd never driven in Japan before. And the first day I drove over a huge, massive bridge connecting Awaji Island to Shikoku. And yeah, we don't have any bridges like that in the UK, and it was such a scary experience. That was the first drive, but it was so fun. And now I'm so comfortable driving here. It's so safe and so easy, and in Japan.
For you, the same way, no?
Same side, yeah. Drive on the same side of the road, so it's not too challenging, and everyone's quite safe. Haven't met anyone that's got road rage or anything like that. So yeah, it's an easy country to drive in for sure.
Yeah. Shota, when you were traveling around the world, did you drive in other countries as well?
Yeah, I drove in Mexico and then Spain and a lot of places. But I felt Japan is more like not so many crazy driver. Yeah, like.
Yeah. Also, speaking of movies, there was another Netflix movie about a young couple traveling all the way from Canada all the way down to Mexico through America in like a converted school bus.
Oh, wow.
And that was really cool. But they had a dog, and the dog actually got sick, and that was the reason they had to cancel their journey. Now, you guys don't have a dog, but you have your pet cactuses. How are your cactuses doing? Are they still alive?
Yeah, still, why
Well,
it's gone?
the middle one's gone that you can see in the picture there. It passed away about a year ago. But we replaced it with a marimo, which is a type of algae.
It's get bigger, you know.
Oh yeah, it's
It's
growing.
grow a lot.
I realised that. Wow, it has from that picture, yeah. Wow.
That's great. And then let's talk about the design a little bit. So, Shota, you had traveled in Costa Rica, and you said Costa Rica inspired the outside design of your van. Is that right?
Yeah, and also inside also. Yeah, my imagination is Costa Rica is very blue sky and then another jungle. So that's how we make a design. No, actually, you made a design. I had imagination and I told her, and then she just made it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've done a great job. Tell us about the design, but also like putting it all together. You guys were using a lot of different companies as well. Where did you get all your materials from?
So a lot of the wood, we just got that from Home Centre. And we got the wood from there. And then all the fabric, we got it from a local fabric shop near Shota's house. And then a lot of the decorations we got from IKEA or like 100 yen stores in Japan. We kind of went around a few different places and just see what we could find that might suit the image that we had in our mind for the design. And then, the cushions as well. Yeah, the sponge came from a Japanese company that do custom foam. So you just tell them what measurements you want, and then they can make the foam according to your dimensions, which is really useful. And then you can make your custom cushion covers. So yeah, it worked out like better than we expected actually, since we didn't really have much experience with DIY or design. And yeah, we've recently just sort of renovated the van a little bit again, so it looks a little bit different. We're about to do a van tour on Shota's YouTube channel soon, which will show the kind of redesign. It's made it a bit more comfortable. Since we live in the van full time, we wanted it to be a bit more comfortable in terms of the bed and things. So yeah, it's similar though, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask about as well. Like, which things in the original design did you realize that's not actually working very well, and then you changed? And then what other things from the original design which have been amazing and you've been really happy and haven't had to change? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, yeah. So the bed was definitely the biggest challenge. Yeah. It's quite a small van, and the bed was quite small. As you can see on the left side, there was one cabinet there before where we stored a lot of our like laptops and bottles and things like that. So that's now gone, and we've made the bed bigger. Just because we were staying the van full time, it was just much more comfortable to have a bigger bed. So that's one thing we changed. But the kitchen has been really good actually. We're really happy with the kitchen design. We have a kind of slide out cooking table and water tank. So being able to cook outside, that was definitely a great decision to have that. Because if you cook in the van, it can cause a lot of condensation and dampness, and obviously cooking smells as well. So so having that kitchen was a really good thing to make. We're really happy with that.
Yeah, and of course, depending on the weather, but I saw some photos where you also maybe have a shade at the back of the car, so you can work outside the car sometimes as well as inside the car. Shota, I love your design of the bottom of the bed and the table. That's such great innovation. Good job.
Thank you so much.
How did you figure that out?
I don't know. Just make it. Just I have idea and then just alright, let's try, and then
That's amazing. Did you see that on YouTube or something? That's really impressive.
No, actually, I didn't see. Like, I wanted to make like L shape. Like, I don't know. Like, just make kind of. I got the idea from the YouTube, and then I just try it, and then just did it.
That's awesome. I just found the photo. Let me see if you can see it here.
Yeah, the table. Yeah.
It's the underside of the table becomes the base for the bed. Is that right?
Yeah. So it just drops down and then sits on two pieces of wood, and it turns into the bed. So multifunctional.
Very clever design. Let's talk about the solar and the electricity, because both of you guys are working on your computers. You have a lot of devices. Shota, you're also using a lot of photography equipment. You have a drone as well. So for you guys, electricity was really important. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So originally we started with 2 solar panels on the top, which each solar panel is 100 watts. So we had 200 watts of solar panels.
I started from one.
One. Oh yeah, it was one. Yeah, 100 watts. But we realized very quickly that wasn't enough. So now we have 300 watts. So we have 3 100 watt solar panels on the top. And then a lot of vans, they have sort of a lithium battery where the engine can charge the battery. But we have these sort of 2 portable batteries from a company called EcoFlow, and these can be recharged by plugging them into normal sockets in the wall. You can also charge it from solar and also charge it when you're driving. So it's like that device there on the screen. And yeah, we use those. We have 2 of those in the van, and that's pretty enough actually, isn't it? They have huge capacity, and they can charge all our devices. If it's rainy for a few days, we sometimes struggle, so we need to go somewhere and charge them up, maybe at like an internet cafe or a cafe or something. But for the most part, if it's not raining, we're able to survive with the solar. I mean, Japan's a pretty sunny country, so we get quite good solar energy with the van too.
That is awesome. I'm very impressed by that, because I think a lot of people are interested, even at home, if they can live off grid, like if it's possible. And living in a van is like a mini house. So it's kind of a nice way to live off grid, and you guys have done it. So it looks like you had like a rechargeable battery system, and then you added a different one after that was more efficient. Is that right?
Yeah, so the one you can see there in the picture, that's from a brand called Jackery. So this one is good, and I think this is good if people are just doing sort of a weekend van trip. This one takes 8 hours to recharge if you plug it into a socket. But we have another one now from a company called EcoFlow, and it takes 1 hour. So you plug it in, and it just takes about 1 hour to recharge to 100%, and that will last you for 4 days. So it's just so easy if you go to a cafe to charge it up in 1 hour, rather than sitting in a cafe for 8 hours. It's too long to stay in a cafe. So yeah, they're perfect. We're super happy.
It's kind of like I drive a electric car, so it's kind of like the same idea, right? Like you have to kind of plan your itinerary around if you're going to need a charge after a certain amount. I mean, that would be my dream someday, to live out of a van, which is an electric car van, and to have solar panels on the top, powerful enough to recharge the van and all your devices. But I think we are a little bit far away from that at the moment, but hopefully in the next 10 years, we might see that. Yeah.
I mean, electric cars are becoming more and more popular now. That'd be so cool to be able to charge your car with the solar, wouldn't it? Yeah.
That would be really cool.
Money too. Gasoline,
How much have you been having to spend on gas? Are you driving every day, or are you finding yourself in a nice location, maybe stay a few days? How have the costs been, like the running costs along the way?
So gasoline, we're spending, I mean, it depends how much we drive, obviously. Like the more you drive and the more mountainous areas that you go to as well, you use more gasoline. But it's between sort of 200 Niman to Sanman yen, so $200 US to $300 US per month on gasoline.
Okay.
Which is okay. We don't drive every day. Like we might drive a little bit, but if we like somewhere, we want to stay there for a while. That's the best part about van life, is that you can just stay somewhere if you end up in a beautiful campsite or a place with a beautiful view. So yeah, we definitely travel very slowly. But that's the gasoline cost really depends on how much you drive. So
yeah, and I noticed that you guys are also enjoying lots of local food. For example, you were eating this amazing looking tofu and sesame tofu, and the biggest omelet I have ever seen in my life.
It was huge. Yeah, that was such a great meal. That's really one of the best parts about traveling in Japan. As I'm sure people who live in Japan or like to travel in Japan know, each prefecture has its own sort of unique cuisine, and they use the ingredients that are local to that prefecture. And that's really one of the most enjoyable things for me about traveling in Japan is trying all the different local food. And also for you, I mean, some of these dishes, even though you're Japanese, you've never seen them before or tried them before.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's great. And also, of course, in terms of sustainability, that's a really great way to support the local economy. Now, you guys have been to so many rural areas, and you also visited a completely abandoned village. And this is why I think van life or traveling by car in Japan is actually a really important part of sustainable tourism, because you can get to these areas which do not have access to public transportation. And a lot of these small towns are dying. So if you can get there, spend a few days, eat at the local eateries, you're really supporting the local economy. Plus, it's fun for you guys to meet the local people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of our favorite parts, is driving down these mountainous roads that you think lead to nowhere, and you find a little village where 10 people live or whatever, and you can buy local vegetables from them. And a lot of these people actually live so sustainably. They grow all their own food and pickle vegetables, and it's incredible. Like compared to like in Scotland where I'm from, like people just have like a lawn with some flowers, but in Japan so many people grow vegetables in the countryside, which is incredible. And yeah, we love supporting the locals in these type of places. Yeah, that's one of the mountain roads there. There's a good job our van is quite small, because
it looks hard. Yeah.
Some of these roads are crazy, aren't they?
But there's so many roads.
So windy, and you think like, oh my goodness, I'm going to fall off the edge of this mountain here. But yeah, they're usually safe so far.
Have you had any little dents or accidents, or have you been stranded and had to call JAF or something?
We don't have no.
So far, so good. Knock on wood. Knock on wood for you.
I know it's probably going to happen today after this.
Oh no! I don't want to jinx it. We've had some good comments. Peter said, "Did you encounter difficulties living in such a small space together?" That's a great question.
Oh yeah, I mean, it is a very small van. Like if you compare to sort of a normal sized camper van, yeah, it is. And also with the pandemic, it's quite hard to go to cafes and work sometimes. So it has been really tough. But we've just been able to we've made a different table and bed now to make it a bit more spacious for working. But yeah, overall, I think it is okay. And sometimes, you just need to go for a walk for 1 hour and have a little break from each other, and it's fine. But it is one of the challenges. But I think I prefer personally to do van life with someone rather than alone. I like to experience this van life with someone. So overall, it's better, I think, to do it with someone, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it looks like you have found yourself in such beautiful areas and have been able to kind of enjoy slow travel. It's not like a stressful, high-paced itinerary. And I think that certainly helps for the relationship of being in such a small space together. Plus, when you open the doors, you've got the whole world as your space, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's so nice to have our house moving with us. If we want to have lunch here or just make a coffee and enjoy the view, we have all the equipment just to do that. So that's one of the great things about it, yeah.
Nice. Molly says she bought an old Airstream in 2019. All she's done is gut it and reinforce the floor. How did you figure out the layout for your van? Good question.
Yeah, so Shota, you were kind of in charge of the layout.
What does it mean?
Like where to put the chair and the table and
the design? How to design it?
Yeah, that's I saw so many YouTube videos other people's bands, and then like we want to do like that, and then just kind of copy, to be honest. Yeah.
But you were building like all the drawers and the cabinets and all the wooden paneling. You guys did that all yourself, right?
Yeah, and I guess
the drawer was very challenging.
The drawer, we almost murdered each other making those drawers. Oh, they were so difficult to make the drawers, but they're so useful. They're really like such a useful part of the van, but the process of making them was horrible. So yeah, we just saw like what other people were doing and sort of then, oh, that looks like a good idea. That looks like a good idea. We'll try that. And then because we had a really small space, we kind of we just sort of decided what to do where, and we've done a few changes since when we started, like I mentioned, to make it more kind of efficient in terms of the space. But I think like everyone wants different things. Like, so some people want a bathroom, some people want a kitchen, some people want a big bed. So you just need to choose, what's the priority for your van, and then design it accordingly.
For us, it's working in the van, so able to work is most important, no?
Exactly, yeah. So for us, having like a set bed that is always here, it wouldn't have worked, because we need to have a desk and somewhere to eat and things like that. Whereas if you're just going for a weekend trip, I guess, it might not matter so much to have a table where you can work and use your laptop.
Yeah, I love seeing your little shoe rack there. But I was like, how do you limit yourself to just 4 shoes? Like, how you guys are going like between different climates and different areas too. How do you minimalize? Like, I know you have cupboards and everything, but you guys are doing so well. You have to just choose a core amount of clothing and shoes and stuff, right? How do you do it?
Yeah, so we have this base camp, which is Shota's mum. So in Japan, obviously, there's like quite different weather between the winter and the summer. And what we've realized is we need to just have summer wardrobe in the van or a winter wardrobe in the van. It just takes up too much space to have everything. So what we do is we send all the winter clothes back to Shota's mum, and she keeps everything in her house. And then, when it starts to get cold again, we'll swap over. We'll go and pick up a big delivery from somewhere and swap over everything. Especially with the van this small, that's the only way we can really do it. If we had a bigger van and more storage, we probably could keep all the clothes in there and other storage areas. But as you can see, it's pretty small. So,
and I notice you have a great kitchen setup. Have you found you are eating at local places as well? But have you found you're eating more in the van, or you're eating out more? Is it possible to eat all your meals in the van? Seems like it'd be hard.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard. Like, the kitchen is not like a house. We don't have a big oven or lots of storage space for lots of things in the fridge. But we really enjoy cooking, and we actually like buying food and vegetables from these rural areas and cooking them ourselves. We ask people, Shota's always asking, like, oh, how do you cook this? How do you eat this? And then they'll say, oh, just put some soy sauce with this and miso and cook it like this. And we like to try making these recipes as well. So we cook a lot in the van. I'd say like 95% of the time we cook in the van. We don't eat out so much. I think if the last year had been different, we might have eaten out a lot more, but we try and cook in the van as much as possible. And we have all the ingredients that we need to cook, and we have a fridge as well. So yeah, it's really fun actually cooking in the van.
Half price. In Japan, always supermarket has a half price around 6 or 7 o'clock. So when we are very lazy, go to supermarket to get the half price.
One thing which I really am interested in is about waste. Like, when you were doing your van tour, you had just the tiniest little garbage can. And I know from living in a house in Japan for many years that you have to sort the burnables and the recyclables and the non-recyclables, non-burnables. And usually trash takes up a lot of space in Japan. But if you were able to buy local vegetables, for example, which had less packaging, that would help. Oh no, we've lost you guys. Anyway, asking about waste and waste management is my next question. If you guys have any other questions while they're trying to reconnect, please write them here and we'll try to fit them in when they come back. Recently in the conversation, we were talking about them visiting an abandoned town. So I could show photos of that. That was really interesting. They were in the Tohoku area, and they found a town using Google Maps, which looked like it was completely abandoned. And so they went there. Nobody's living there in the village anymore. And they walked around the village. And it was really sad to see how people, out of desperation or for whatever reason, couldn't live there anymore. And the town is completely abandoned.
Hi there.
Oh, there you are. Yay! We lost you. Lost you for a minute. Are you back? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was just talking about watching your video about going to the abandoned town. And like I mentioned before, I think this is another good reason to encourage more like rent-a-cars for travelers or van life travel in Japan, because you can access more rural areas and support local communities. But it looked like wandering through this abandoned town it must have been a little bit creepy, like a haunted town, but also very sad that people used to live here, have thriving lives, and it's completely empty now. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, so there's so many abandoned towns in Japan, and it's predicted that there will be more. This town was abandoned in 1985, and the reason this one was abandoned was because they were planning to build a dam, so the people had to leave, but the dam never was never built, so they didn't actually have to leave in the end. But it is really sad to go, and a lot of the time, if you've ever watched other abandoned village videos, a lot of the belongings are still in the houses. So when people move, they don't take a lot of their belongings with them. So it's kind of, you can imagine how the people used to live there. Like when you see these belongings, you can see what they used to use in their daily life, or what kind of appliances they used to have in their kitchen. So it is really sad, and you can imagine children running around and people sort of attending to rice fields and things. It's always really sad to go to these kind of places, but also so interesting at the same time to see these old buildings and how life used to be in Japan.
Yeah. There's actually a word for it, for this kind of travel, seeking out abandoned towns or buildings. Haikyo in Japanese, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it has become kind of a hobby for some people, but it's sometimes dangerous, like if you're walking around abandoned buildings. But it looked like you guys were very safe and just walking around the outside. But isn't
Yeah.
that it's like being an anthropologist. You can study how people used to live, and that's crazy. People left so much stuff in the house, but you can imagine you would, right, if you didn't know where you were moving to. Maybe they had to fit everything in a van like you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know that this one video, so there was like a washing machine in the house. I was like, well, that's such an expensive purchase. Like, I would definitely bring my washing machine if I moved house. But yeah, maybe the government provided a new house with a new washing machine, and they didn't need that one anymore. Perhaps it's you make these stories in your mind about what you think might have happened, which is always quite interesting.
Yeah. Now, Brett was asking about how recently it became abandoned. So it was about 10 years ago, was it?
This was 36 years ago, no?
Yeah,
36.
This one was 36 years ago. And then there's other ones we've been to that have been abandoned in like 1998 or 1995. So each one is different, and each one has different reasons to why it was abandoned also.
Yeah. It's really interesting. And it's like an important cultural study for a different part of history of Japan that we don't find in textbooks, that we don't see in media. So it is really nice that you guys are documenting it and talking about it. And people are thinking about what might happen if we don't support, smaller villages around Japan.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your trip did you start in Okinawa? It looks so beautiful.
So we started the trip, so we started from Himeji in Hyogo Prefecture, where Shota is from, and we went to Awaji Island and then Shikoku. So there's 4 prefectures there, so we went around Shikoku, then to Hokkaido, and we spent some time going around 4 months in Hokkaido. Then we went down to Kyushu, and we travelled 1 prefecture there, Miyazaki Prefecture. Then it started to get so cold. Van life in the winter in Japan is pretty tough, especially since we don't have a heater in our van. So at that time, we decided to go to Okinawa, and we spent around 3 months in Okinawa, the tropical islands in the south of Japan. And yeah, now we're back on mainland Japan, and we're traveling the Chubu region, which is the central area of Japan. So yeah, we'll spend the next few months here and then go north for the summer. I mean, that's the good thing about Japan. It's quite a long country, so you can avoid the really hot and humid summer or the very cold winter by just sort of changing your location. So that's one benefit of van life in Japan.
Yeah, that was the reason you guys wanted to push off in March, so you would have good weather, because Ruth, you particularly hate the summer hot. Is that right?
Well, yeah, I mean, growing up in Scotland, I mean, it's not known for its hot weather. So, yeah, I'm not really used to the heat and humidity. But, yeah, last summer we went to Hokkaido, which kind of is like a Scottish summer actually.
Good.
It's really nice. It's not so humid in Hokkaido, so we managed to avoid that. But yeah, the summer I'm not great with the heat and humidity, to be honest. And
it's coming soon.
Coming soon.
Coming soon. Yeah, you got to start heading north. I love all of the rural images that you show. Shota, you're doing really well with drone footage. Have you had any issues like using the drone in certain areas? Do you have to apply for permission area by area?
To fly drone is really tricky in Japan, and I have to all the time confirm the city hall where I can fly. I need the permission, or like even like when I climb the mountain, like on top of the mountain, I have to take a drone footage applies. I need to apply. So like it's difficult, but makes people more like imagination where we are traveling around. So I think, and also I like flying drone, like the sky view from the bird views. I love it. So yeah, even a lot of jobs I want to do.
Absolutely beautiful. So like the images now, are they both from a drone? They look like they might be.
Yeah, the first one's I think that was a recent one you took in Fukui prefecture.
Yeah.
That drone, that's definitely from a drone. And the second one, is it also?
The second one,
sunrise on the mountaintop.
And the sunrise, yeah.
That it looked really brutal, like very, very cold. But you had some beautiful shots up above you guys. So I assume, unless you hired a bird, that was a drone shot. So
yeah. You love using the drone, yeah. So any chance that we can use it and we can get permission, you always try to use the drone.
So complicated though in Japan.
It is. I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever done it? Because everything's on YouTube that you guys do. Have you ever had like a local area say you were using drone you're not supposed to or something? I hope not, because you were promoting their area.
Yeah, like, but I always called the office before, and then some place, you cannot fly drone. Okay, that case, okay, I don't fly. But after I fly drone, I get trouble. It's nothing.
Yeah, we always get you get a document in the post that comes and says, okay, you have permission between this date and this date to fly the drone within this area and these coordinates and things like that. So
especially national park,
national parks are really tricky in Japan, but usually you can get permission if you go through the process. And
but that's all in Japanese, right? So Shota, if somebody came to Japan and wanted to use a drone but didn't understand Japanese, it would be very difficult, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Because there's no online, you have to all the time with a paper or like a fax.
We don't use a fax machine.
Fax, yes, of course, because there are a lot of government offices still rely on the fax in Japan, right?
Yes. Yeah, we usually just print off the documents at a convenience store and post it. That's easier for us than going to use a fax. I don't even know how to use a fax machine, do you?
To be honest, we still have a fax because we still have to communicate sometimes with businesses that require fax. It's just ridiculous. It's crazy. It's like you say, can we send you an email, or can we, scan the document and send it by email? And they're like, can you just send a fax? Fax is easy. Okay, let's do it. We just hook it up when we have to do a fax. It's not too difficult, but it's crazy.
Yeah, I guess if people still use fax and it works for them, then that's great. But I don't know, we just don't have any experience using one, so.
It's so funny. Well, let's hear about this hike that you guys did to go up and sleep on top of the mountain and to take these amazing photos of the sunrise. That sounds like quite an adventure.
Yeah. So perhaps you've heard of the famous 100 Japanese mountains, or Hyakumezen. So we heard about these last year and we're like, we've already actually climbed a few of them. So let's just try and work our way through the list as we travel around Japan. So we went on this hike like 1 month ago, approximately a month ago or 6 weeks ago. But it was pretty tough. We hadn't done hiking for like 6 months. So it was, pretty hard in terms of like the fitness. I think we need to do a bit more training for the next one. But the views were amazing and there was a little camp area near the top. So we camped there and then we woke up and watched the sunrise at the top of the mountain. So it's always nice to do that, because a lot of these mountains, a lot of people hike them, and if you go up during the day, there's quite a lot of people on the top, but if you're up there at the sunrise, you usually have the place to yourself. And obviously if you want to fly the drone, it looks much better without lots of people there. So it's nice to go up and see the sunrise, and you can sometimes see like a sea of clouds as well from the top of a lot of these mountains, which is a really nice thing to see too. So yeah.
You had amazing weather, like perfectly clear. That's so lucky.
Yeah, we keep an eye on the weather when we're hiking. Yeah, I mean, hiking in the rain is just the worst. So we always try and make sure we have like 2 sunny days beside each other. We do a hike. It's much more comfortable to hike in the nice weather, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, Ruth, I really appreciated your article about van life for women. Can you talk about some of the issues as a woman that you've kind of been able to work out or deal with along the way?
Yeah, so I think speaking to other women in Japan who maybe want to do van life or are thinking about doing van life, I think the main thing that people seem to be worried about is like hygiene or like toilets. So actually there are like ways to get around this. As I mentioned earlier, there's toilets in so many different places in Japan. It's really easy to find clean toilets if you go to like roadside stations or convenience stores. Rural areas and free campsites, not so much. The toilets are sometimes a bit, not what you'd expect of like a Japanese toilet. People have these images of like all these fancy buttons and stuff. But showers are also really easy to come by. Onsens are everywhere in Japan. Some campsites have free showers. Some beaches have free showers. So it's actually really easy to have a shower every day and find clean toilets. And you don't have to sacrifice things you like wearing fashionable clothes or makeup or whatever just because you live in a van. If you want to continue doing that, it's definitely possible. You just have to like pack minimally and bring what you really need to enjoy van life and continue living your life the way you want to live it.
That's great. I saw your advice about don't expect to keep your nails up and wear a hat. So if you're not quite looking your best, then give up on your nails, wear a hat to cover your hair if it might not be perfect. But you've still been using like a hair straightener. You gave up on your blow dryer, right? And the thing about your toiletries bag or like face cleaning and stuff, your advice I found really interesting, to keep it in a normal bag instead of making it look like you're going to, like you're sleeping nearby or something. Was that a safety issue to do it that way?
Yeah, I think now like a lot of women want to do van life by themselves. Like solo van life has become a popular thing to do. So I think, obviously if you are doing solo van life, it is important to be safe. Like Japan is known as a really safe country, but I think no matter where you are, like you always need to keep your wits about you and have safety in the back of your mind. So by having all your like toothbrush and everything in a wash bag, it kind of looks quite obvious that maybe you're like staying in a van or staying in your vehicle. So if you have it in sort of a more normal looking bag, then that just reduces the risk, I guess. And obviously like locking the doors as well and having curtains that people can't see into the van. There are lots of things you can do to make sure you stay safe as a female in van life. Yeah.
That is definitely one of the hugest selling points, I think, of traveling or living in Japan, is the safety issue, which comes up over and over again. And feeling more safe, even as a single woman, walking around at night or sleeping in your van. You guys haven't had any issues parking and sleeping in the van, or are you mostly using campsites?
Yeah, we've never had any issues. Our van's never been broken into. Shota lost his wallet once, and it was found 1 hour later at the local police station. So, I mean, the reputation's true in terms of that. But no, we've not had any issues at all. And
what's a bear?
Oh, bears. And I guess the wildlife is probably the most dangerous thing you might encounter. Yeah.
Did you see any bears?
Yeah, we did. When we were in Hokkaido, we were driving and 3 bears decided to cross the road in front of us. And we were just so happy to see them from inside the car because we had been hiking in Hokkaido and we definitely didn't want to encounter one at close proximity on a hike. But it was fine. Snakes, we've seen quite a lot of snakes, like at campsites and things in very rural areas. I am not a fan of snakes. I'd rather see a bear than a snake, but you're okay with snakes. Yeah. A lot of them aren't so dangerous, but yeah.
Yeah. And you found some lovely spots, like in the picture here, you guys at the onsen, the ryotemburo, the hot bath outside together. I found that interesting. Ruth, you were talking about taking your own basket for the onsen because you found the shampoo and other things not quite the highest quality usually. So you have refillable containers. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So actually, many Japanese people, they take like a basket with them to the onsen with their own shampoos and face wash or whatever. So yeah, some places that you go won't have shampoo or conditioner or soap, so it's better just to always bring your own, especially if you go to cheaper like public bathhouses or like a free shower somewhere. They're not going to provide shampoo and conditioner, so it's really easy just to have a basket and you can just bring it in with you and dry it off after you're finished and put it back in your van storage area somewhere. So
yeah, that's one of the things I love about onsen life in Japan is some of the maybe higher cost ones, they have really nice high quality shampoos and body soaps and stuff. But some of the cheaper ones, it even looks like a cleaning liquid. Like you really you do not want to use that one.
yeah, it kind of looks like the kind of bulk ones you'd buy from like, I don't know, like Costco or somewhere, like these like probably like 10 liter and they just kind of refill it. Yeah, we don't really like them at all. Like just makes our hair feel like greasy and not very, doesn't really feel like clean. So we just like to use our own. It's easy to say. So.
I think we were talking about waste management when you guys, your feed cut off. Could we talk about that a little bit? And you also have a big container of water. So about using the reusable and the refillable water, has that been an issue at all about waste or water?
No, so we have a big water tank in the van, and we usually try to go to like spring water sources to get like drinking water from the water spring. And so we've been actually like really enjoying doing that recently, like trying to find new places. And Japan's like number 2 best spring water, and like there's kind of like a ranking of all these different waters that you can pick up. So so it's really easy to do that. And in terms of waste, we have a really small bin, like you mentioned earlier. So we don't really use, like, we try to avoid buying food that has a lot of plastic packaging. It's quite hard in Japan. A lot of things are covered in plastic, especially fruit and vegetables. But we try our best, like if we go to like these roadside stalls, sometimes you can find in rural Japan, where local farmers will sell their goods. So a lot of the time, those ones might have less plastic. So if we see that kind of setup, we try and buy a lot of local veg from there and avoid using plastic. And all the plastic packaging takes up so much room in our van as well. So, and it's just like annoying to get rid of the rubbish. So we just really try to avoid plastic. And obviously, it's so terrible for the environment and all this stuff. And basically, we just don't want to have plastic in the van if we can. So
it's so hard to avoid, but I love those roadside stalls. Often they don't have any staff there. They're honesty shops, right? They're amazing. And you just get your local fruit or vegetables and you put your coin in the box, totally on the honor system. Another wonderful thing about Safe Japan, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. We love doing that. We just stock up when we see those kind of places. And a lot of the time they're like chemical free as well, or pesticide free, which is great.
Have you ever found vegetables or fruit that you're like, what the heck is that? And you got to ask some locals?
Yeah, remember in Miyazaki you found
like a gobo, long one, no? Very, very long, like 1 meter, like long, like a potato and stuff, no? Yeah.
Exactly. In the mountains.
Yeah.
It takes some doing, but that's when social media is so useful, because I get like a monthly selection box from a local organic farm. And sometimes it comes and I'm like, what the heck is that? Like, how do I cook that? What is that? And I post a picture on Twitter or social media, and usually somebody knows exactly what it is and they can give me some recipe ideas. So I love that about social media.
You often ask like a lot of people on Instagram too, and they always send like these amazing recipes, and then we're like, we have to go back and buy more because we have like 5 different recipes for this vegetable now to try.
So what has been your staple of sauces or things that you must have for cooking? So I would imagine salt, vegetable oil. But when I saw your video about your shelf where you were going to have these things, condiments, you were also discussing whether you're going to have mustard or not. So So what is your condiment and cooking like restock area? What does it look like? What do you have in there?
We actually have loads. Like we just
so
love.
many.
We have love cooking. So we have like one that we use like every day, which is like soy sauce, kind of hot sauce, salt and pepper. Then there's like salt, mayonnaise, okonomiyaki sauce. We eat okonomiyaki quite a lot. What else? Sesame dressing for salad, and then we have sesame oil. Normal cooking oil, olive oil, and then we have like another box which is like mirin, cooking sake.
So many.
Sushi vinegar, rice vinegar, sugar. we cook pretty much what you might cook in a house. We love cooking, so we try our best to cook healthy food and eat like we would as if we lived in a house. So.
That's awesome. Are you making rice? Like, do you have a rice cooker as well?
So
we use with a pot, no?
We cook with a pot.
Yeah, with a pot. But every morning.
So every morning you're having like Japanese style breakfast with rice and miso soup or something?
Sometimes like avocado with a toast, no?
Sometimes avocado with toast. Sometimes like porridge. I make porridge, but you really don't like porridge. You're like, no, I'll have rice. And then we have like umeboshi, like pickled clam, natto, and you have sometimes a fried egg with your rice. So we usually try and eat Japanese food just because it's so easy to get, like everywhere in Japan. If I'm trying to like eat what I might eat at home in Scotland, it's impossible to buy all those things in like rural Japan in little like family supermarkets. So just embrace the Japanese.
Yeah. That's awesome. And you're traveling rural areas, so you should be able to get a lot of great rice and local veg to use. There was something I thought that was so funny. In one of your essential things that you wanted in your cabinet was a toaster. A sandwich toaster?
Oh, yeah.
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 So have you been eating a lot of sandwiches? Is that your go-to lunch?
Yeah, well, they're so easy to make. It's really one of the best meals because there's no dishes. Like, that is the key. Like, you really don't want dishes when you live in the van because it's so annoying to go and wash them. So we eat a lot of like toast, avocado toast or like natto toast, fermented soybeans. So yeah, some people think that's horrible.
This one is saba, no?
Yeah, this was like a mackerel sandwich we made.
Wow.
Yeah, you can put anything in those sandwiches, just whatever you have, really.
Do you fish or go to like local fishmongers or buy fish or local products as well as the supermarkets?
Both, no? So, like sometimes I try to do the fishing and then sometimes go to like a local fish market and then buy some fish. Yeah.
Wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really living sustainably. So how long have you been doing it? How many months have you been on the road?
So we started the van conversion January 2020 and then we left in March 2020. So since March last year, pretty much. But it's been kind of on and off with the pandemic. We've had to stop a few times. We've been in prefectures that have had state of emergencies, so we've had to stay there for longer than we might have originally planned. But we've not traveled as fast as we've wanted to because of the pandemic, but we've managed to still go to lots of interesting places, and we still have quite a lot of prefectures still to go to. But now we're on mainland Japan, it'll be easier. We've already been to a lot of far away and rural places like Okinawa. It's quite time consuming to travel because you need to take ferries, and Hokkaido is also quite a big part of Japan, so it took a while to get around. But now we're on sort of mainland Japan, it should be faster to get around and cover more prefectures now.
If you come near Hiroshima, let me know. I'd love to just have a coffee with you or take photos as you drive by, whatever works.
Definitely. We've not been to Hiroshima yet, so we're going to all prefectures, so we'll definitely be there at some point.
Wonderful. Let me know. We have about 6 more minutes. I think a lot of people might be wondering if you're feeling tired. Like often when you do these long travels away from like a permanent house or any kind of normal base, do you get kind of burnt out of the van life? How are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's to be honest, I think not really of the van life. I think it's more like of this pandemic, to be honest, just because we end up like, we have this goal that we want to finish getting around Japan and then we get like stuck again, like somewhere for 3 months or whatever. So that kind of is demotivating sometimes. But now, like, we've kind of got this goal that we want to finish going around Japan, so we're just sort of working towards that. Like, we're not going to live in the van forever. We're just, after, like, we'll always probably have a camper van, but after this, we'd like to sort of stay in one place. So it's kind of just like we have this goal and kind of plodding towards the end of it. So
yeah. Well, Shota, you've been all over the world. Are you okay to settle in Japan after this? Are you guys looking to a different country?
No, I don't think I settle in Japan. Like I like to be all the time moving around, and I don't wanna. For me, I don't like so much like stay one. You have to stay one place. I always want to have like some place to go back, even Scotland, Japan, and all around the world. So yeah, I would like to have one house in Japan, but all the time moving around. I guess in my future I can see now or imagine. Yeah.
we have a few home bases in different places.
That's great. And the more you travel, the more people you meet, the more people that will offer a place for you to come and stay anywhere in the world, right? But I really appreciate what you guys are doing. And especially Shota, as a Japanese person who loves to travel and loves meeting new people and doing new experiences. I think in the last 10 years, we've seen a lot of young people in Japan kind of lose interest in going abroad or lose interest in even studying English because they're just kind of more focused on Japan. But I think you seem to find so much freedom and happiness from traveling and meeting other people. So it's so wonderful that you guys are able to have this adventure and share it and connect with other Japanese people watching as well as international people watching, because you guys are doing everything bilingually. It's so impressive.
Yeah, so the English subtitles are on all the videos. Yeah, you love traveling and going out like different countries and experiencing different cultures, don't you?
Yeah. But for example, I don't have any friends who like travel like in Japan. Like all my friends, hey, let's go to somewhere in the world. Oh no, I don't wanna go. No interested. Most of my generation, my age is I don't know why, but very different.
I think it's scary, right? Before you do it, it just looks too difficult. But because you're doing it and you're sharing it and you're communicating with people who have questions, I think you're encouraging a lot of people. It's great.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, people have that as a dream. It'd be nice to know that we're helping them work towards their dream and not be scared.
Yeah. And how long does it take to process all the videos? Because you're doing it to such a high quality. You're doing subtitles, editing. How long does it take you?
It's really depend on the video. Easy one, 4 hours. Difficult one, maybe like 1 day and a half sometimes. So it's really depend. A lot of drone footage is quite difficult. No?
We try and have like dedicated sort of like editing and work days and then dedicated days for travel. So it does take time. I guess,
Editing is unlimited, so yeah.
Yeah, you could spend hours and hours to add special effects or something, right? Yeah. Are you guys getting any sponsorship? Do you get any funding from people? Are you receiving some money from YouTube or getting donations along the way? Is it self-funded?
So we do the YouTube videos, and then by publishing content on YouTube, we get AdSense revenue through Google. So that mostly funds our trip, and then we sometimes do collaborations with companies. We worked with Nissan Japan last year, and we featured in like a commercial for them about VanLife, and there's like a few other companies we've worked with along the way. But no one is really like funding us. This was something that we wanted to do, and we want to do it on our own terms. So we'd rather, we don't want to kind of have to go to someone else's schedule or what they want us to do.
Yeah, I understand that, and I think, with funding quite often comes strings, right?
Yeah.
So if you get a big funding from a corporate sponsor, then they might want you to do it a different way, which maybe you don't want to do. So it's, having YouTube funding though, that really helps. And then I noticed on your website, you have Amazon links to a lot of the products that you're using. So
Yeah.
hopefully you can get some kickback if people buy it through your website as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that there's also some income from that, but and YouTube's definitely the main one.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining on the road, and good luck with the rest of your trip.
Thanks
Maybe
so
if you're still going in about 6 months, maybe we can do a follow-up chat.
much. Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely. We'd love to do that.
We have a good question at the end. It squeaked right in there, Pablo. He says, Ruth, what would you tell someone who wants to convert a van? Where do you start? Good question.
Oh, where do you start? Okay, so so I like my first piece of advice is like if you haven't tried VanLife before doing the big investment, perhaps rent one for a week or a weekend just to see if you like it. Because actually a lot of people, they try it and then maybe they don't like it, it's too small or whatever. So that's like one piece of advice. But if you're dead set on just doing the conversion, yeah, I think just go for it. Like watch a lot of YouTube videos, see what type of van that you might want to buy. There's obviously like all these different brands of van and sizes of van, if you can stand up in the van or not. Yeah, choose the type of van that you want, and then just make a design based on what you see on YouTube and what you like from other people's vans. That would be my best piece of advice.
That's a really good tip. And actually, next week we are talking with Jared Campion, who he is a co-founder of a business called Dream Drive in Japan. And they are renovating vans into camper vans that people can rent and take on travels around Japan. So it'd be great to see you guys get sponsored by them. I'll mention it to him.
Yes, I saw the last interview you did with him. Actually, it was so interesting to see what he's doing, and the camper vans look amazing that he's made. The interiors are incredible, so it'd be cool to meet him someday.
Yeah, awesome. And last time I talked to him, he said they have their eyes on a big Tesla Cybertruck.
Oh,
and they're going to try to renovate. I don't know if that's real or not, but I want to ask him again tomorrow. So that's very exciting. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Well, good luck to you guys. And thank you so much for joining. That was awesome.
Thanks. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.